Started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Pink Power Team Call. Welcome. I see a couple guys on. I'm really sorry because there's a couple places where I say talk about husbands, and so you might be the husband, so you'll just have to reverse that and, use your application in your own way. So, and I am a PT by trade. I have worked in Plexus for almost 7 years of sharing the business. I'm a Sapphire ambassador, mom of 4. And so something that just keeps coming back onto my heart, this is not like super Plexus business related necessarily, but it is related in the fact that if we don't have our schedule and our life and our discipline and our routine in some sort of order, and I am not saying perfection because my life and my schedule and my routine is not perfect. But as I've worked on improving that and being more and more intentional, it has only shown more and more results in my business, in my life, in my time with my family, in my children, my relationship with my husband. Okay. So, and this just has been on my heart that if we can't get our kids in order, get ourselves in order, then it's just more challenging to work a business. It's more challenging to go to your 9-to-5 job. It's more challenging to do pretty much anything if you're always flying by the seat of your pants. And anytime that I get off schedule, I always regret it. That sleeping in or laying in bed for an extra 30 minutes. And my kids are older now, so they can get up and have some breakfast and they'll entertain themselves. I don't have to be up. No one's going to kill each other anymore. No one needs me in that way. And so every time I do, though, I regret it, unless that's part of my routine and my schedule. If that's planned in rest, then that's good. So I say all of this to say you can be successful no matter what is going on in your life. You can make changes in what it is that you want to make changes in. And I have to find my screen show. Sorry. You can absolutely make those changes should you want to. And of course, I'm here to say you want to. That's my job. Let me see. Is this showing? Yeah. Okay, cool. Perfect. So scheduling, I just put in here, PT, mom of 4, because I want to show that I have some credentials to say, hey, you can be scheduled, you can be organized. Okay. And again, let this be inspiring to you. So these are my little guys. These are my kids. When I started my business, they were just little. My husband was in school. I was working full-time hours as a PT on the weekends. So it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every other Monday I worked 10-hour shifts. So I was gone a lot. I gave up a lot of family time, but our kids were home with us. My husband was able to go to school. We weren't adding bills of daycare during that time because of my work schedule. And it was a huge blessing that we did have that time with our family and with our children. So again, I want to remind you, this is not about having a perfect schedule, perfect life, but it is saying, you know what, I would like to see X, Y, and Z happen. So keep that at the forefront of your mind. You can be grateful for exactly where you are right now and still look forward to having a different future. It's okay, but definitely gratitude goes a long way too. So first I want to just talk about scheduling yourself. It's kind of like putting the oxygen mask on yourself so that you don't pass out of oxygen deprivation and you can help those around you. So my basic things, move your body, get your water in, take your supplements. Those are basic. Okay. But one thing that I just pretty much say is a non-negotiable is getting up before your children. And it doesn't mean you're getting up 3 or 6 hours before them. It could be 15 minutes before them, where you have 15 minutes to get yourself ready and in the mindset of being in control of your day versus them all needing something or your emails going off or the phone ringing or whatever that is. So if you don't have kids or your kids are grown, get up and get some time for yourself before you're jumping on your phone, before you're getting called to do whatever it is that you're being pulled into doing. And of course, there are seasons like nursing a newborn. That's going to be a little bit challenging, right? I'm not saying that there aren't seasons where you're just not getting the sleep that you normally would get. There are seasons, and that's okay. So I'm not necessarily talking about that. That's a season, that's a time frame. And it can be relatively short. I'm actually going to talk about that coming up here. So, and then I want you to think about brain dumping. Get a notebook, paper, use the notes app in your phone, use whatever it works for you. The Remarkable tablets are pretty cool with this. Just jot down all the things in your brain that are distracting you from what it is that you need to focus on. So brain dump, all the things, ordering uniforms. Okay, call the school about finding the 12-year-old's lost uniforms, like all the things rolling around in your brain. Change the dentist appointment, all that stuff. Get it written out, because when you have that on paper, then you're not going to be constantly thinking about it and trying to remember. It allows your brain to focus on what task or activity you're currently working on. I say set daily goals. My daily goals are usually 2 or 3 Plexus goals and 2 or 3 personal goals. So my personal goals are kind of the right side of this chart here, where I'm like, okay, these are the goals for today. These are the tasks that are going to happen. And I generally keep the house cleaning activities the same every week. So this is just an example that I threw up here. So like, okay, Sunday night, I'm going to brain dump and delegate. I actually try to get my meal plan for the week done on Sunday. I will put my, get my grocery order in queue, all of that. I usually do that Sunday. If I don't, well, now it's on the brain dump list and it has to be put someplace else, right? But Monday, it's like, okay, that's my bigger cleaning day personally, so that I head into the week feeling like, okay, I'm going to work really hard on Monday, get a ton of stuff done, front load my week with my chores. And then the other days are more maintenance. So for instance, laundry, floors, baseboards. Tuesday, washing the towels, getting the groceries, the meal prep, the meal plan. This is just an example. So please do something that works for you. Wednesday might be bathroom cleaning day, get the sheets washed and put back on the beds. And then Thursday, bedrooms, deep clean the kitchen, like, set that up. And then there's, of course, like daily activities that you may want to think about for yourself. Daily tidying of the kitchen, daily tidying of the bedrooms or bathrooms, whatever in your brain, and whatever when you're walking through your house is bugging you, don't let those areas get bad. That's my advice. Make a constant effort every day to keep those areas that are more taxing to your brain and your peace of mind, attack those every day. And then 3 Plexus goals. So one of my Plexus goals is always IPA. I might have a goal to make a video on something specific that my team needs to hear. Okay. And then I might say, okay, I need to make these training calls or coaching calls, whatever that is. And so I'm setting those personal and Plexus goals for every day, and then as well as having weekly goals. And then you want to just be putting your non-negotiables first. So these are things like dentist appointments, well child visits, orthodontics, our own, hair appointments, our work, our 9-to-5 type job is a non-negotiable. That is in our calendar. It's in our schedule. It is what it is. Everything else falls in place around that. And so like, for instance, this kind of chore chart or chore schedule worked really well for me because I worked on the weekends. You might be doing the bulk of your cleaning and meal prepping on the weekends, on Saturday. And so you, again, have to schedule. And then I put on here, including delegating tasks. So this is something that I think we struggle with sometimes, is asking for help and saying, hey, honey, can you get the groceries this week? How about Tuesday at 5 p.m. after you get out of work? Is that fine? Yep, that's great. We sometimes, especially as women, think that we should do all of the things all of the time. And whether you're doing Plexus or not, it's okay to have help. It's okay to delegate. And through stages of child rearing, our kids can be super helpful with a lot of chores. There's a lot of things that they can do and that they will learn to do well. And it's okay to delegate to them as well. Okay, time management. So I love to set timers. So I'll set timers for IPA. I will set timers for cleaning the kitchen. I will set timers for the kids to get something done, right? I will also, I have learned to say it's okay to leave a certain task after 30 minutes. You know, okay, I am allowing 30 minutes of kitchen cleaning time right now after that 30 minutes. And it might be because 9 o'clock hits and I need to get on team call. So at that 30 minutes, I have to stop. And so, of course, we're going to clean all the most important things, get the food put away and all of that. But it's okay to get used to having to come back to some things because it's going to challenge us. And it also gives us an idea of how long it actually takes to do something. So this can go both ways. One, if you don't set a timer, it could take 3 hours to clean the kitchen. 2, setting a timer for 30 minutes and you're realizing, okay, 30 minutes wasn't quite long enough. I actually needed 40. Then you know next time to allow for 40 minutes. Okay, so it's helping you learn. It's just like my daughter, my oldest, she is a freshman now. And so she was running late in the mornings. I'm like, listen, why don't you just like get up early one day, like get up earlier than you think you need to, and just time yourself on how long it actually takes you to get ready. Instead of getting up at the last minute, rushing and making us late, just time yourself, figure out how much time you need. And we do this, we backwards plan all of the time. So figuring out for some of those tasks and challenging ourselves to get more done quickly. Setting office hours for your business, that is a non-negotiable. So this is going to look different for everyone. It could look different from your Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday to Friday, and that is okay. But it's not okay to not set an office time, an office hour for yourself. And I am going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But having intentional time also with your family, with your husband, with your parents, you know, that's important too. And so those need to be built into our week, into our month, depending on, you know, how old your kids are, where your parents live, all of that. But really challenging ourselves to just work a little more efficiently at cleaning the house and getting things done. So there is something called time blocking. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you've heard a lot of it. If you've watched any training call, you've probably heard about time blocking. And I don't time block. Let me confess that right now. I prefer to have a flow of my day and have hard stops. So hard stops also include like, okay, I have to leave at a specific time to go get my kids. That is a hard stop, right? So I am challenging myself to get those goals done before that time. And I'm also making sure that my body is in this desk at an office hour time to get my work done. And so that works better for me. And I think too, if you have little kids, then you can identify with this as well. Like, oh, well, I'm time blocking my life for my 1 and 3-year-old and 5-year-old. And we all know that there are so many moving parts with children of those ages that it seems like I can never stick to the time block, right? And that can be frustrating. So what I prefer and what worked really well for me my whole time of being a mom was having a flow to my day. And but the non-negotiables were eating and sleeping times. So I was very diligent about teaching my babies to learn how to sleep. And so wake up time was a wake up time. Nap time was the nap time. Lunchtime and other like feeding times, because newborns eat like 2.5, 3 hours. Those were non-negotiable times. And then we had a flow to our day in between there. And then as they become more predictable and they're not eating every 2 and 3 hours, all of those non-negotiable nap and eating times really helped us to work our day in between those times. So outside time, maybe it was eat, get dressed, outside time, playtime inside, that snack time. And then as they get older, you have more specific chore time, lunch, and then nap. So nap equals office hours. And then something else that is just very important to child rearing, to getting your kids to have good gross motor development, fine motor development, brain development, is getting them outside, giving them an opportunity to explore their world. to figure it out, to be outside, to get that energy out. It's so, so important. You can read a lot about this on 1,000 Hours Outside. She has an Instagram page, and I believe there's like a website too. So 1,000 Hours Outside, look it up, check it out. And this is the other thing that has served my children so well is I would always get them outside. 1 kid, 2 kids, all 4. We would bundle up. I mean, it seemed to take forever. And I tell you what, it is one of the best things that I ever did, because my almost 15-year-old will still want to be outside almost every day. If it is snowing, she wants to be outside. Change of season, she wants to be outside, all the way down. Like my youngest, who is 8 now, just said, I can't wait until spring and summer when we can go for a walk every morning after breakfast. And so it has served me very well. It served them very well. And it means that now that they're older, I'm like, go outside and play. And they go outside and play, and it's awesome. And it's just so good for them. Okay, so my 4 secrets that aren't really all that secretive, but I want to share them with you, and please share them with your team. But planning your meals and getting your grocery shopping planned accordingly. There are people out there that can do a whole month at a time. Hats off to you. I am about 1 week at a time. That's about all that my brain space can handle. I love Pivotal, either for the exact recipes or for the inspiration of that recipe, where they're like doing chicken a certain way. I'm like, yeah, what, my kids don't like this, that, and the other, but I can do chicken this way. Like, it's inspiring. It gives me that idea. I personally put the link to my recipe right on my Google Calendar so that I can click on it. It takes me right to the recipe. I have a reminder on my calendar as to what time to make dinner. So that, again, is kind of this hard stop built into my life of flow of my day. And then I've also heard really good things, and it's been recommended to me. I just haven't done it because I feel really good about the system I have going on right now. But the Passionate Penny Pincher recipe boxes are great. Like, there's crock pot ones and quick ones and family ones. There's different recipe boxes that include all of the meal, all the grocery lists, everything, and then your recipes. So, and a lot of those I believe are make ahead. So there you go. My second secret is including children in chores from the very beginning. So they would be 2 years old and sitting on the floor, or as soon as they were sitting with me while I was folding laundry, I'm handing them a washcloth and saying, here you go, fold it, showing them, and they might crumple it up. It didn't maybe get folded, but they knew that they were part of the process. And then it wasn't a surprise as they got older and older, and I asked them to do more things. My bathroom was always super clean when I had kids in the tub. When I could bathe them and they were in there playing, obviously not with newborns and little ones, but when they could sit up and they were playing for a while, but I couldn't walk away, right? My bathroom was clean. Like, it was clean. I was in there, I'm cleaning the bathroom. Okay, there's a chore done. I would pull laundry baskets in there, fold laundry while they're in the tub playing. Like, I didn't just sit there and just watch them. Did I interact with them? Did I blow bubbles with them? Did I have fun with them? Absolutely. But that wasn't the only thing I would do. I would do that for a time and then grab in my laundry basket or whatever. Find a chore system that works for you and your kids. So I actually have another call that goes into kind of more specifics of this stuff. I can put the recording in the comments of this post for this call, but I laminated sheets. I typed up what my household was doing all of the time, the stuff that I was like, okay, we're going to do chores today. And I'm writing stuff down. And it was the same thing over and over and over again that I was writing down. I typed it up, laminated it. And now we have dry erase friendly master list. I have a list for each kid that's laminated. And this is their chore chart that they can do 1 day a week. We did do 2 years of homeschooling. So this really was great during homeschool times, because this was like their Monday clipboard. And the other thing I did when they were really little, it was super simple. Like, it was super simple. It wasn't anything I ever read. It literally was an idea I just had, is those little polished, colorful rocks. And we decorated little jars. And so I would just make stuff up, like, okay, unloading the silverware, putting the silverware as a 2-rock job, and they would get 2 little rocks in their little jar. And when their jar was full, which it was, they were little, so they'd fill up quickly. So it was lots of more quicker gratification. And then they would group up their little rocks. And I'm like, okay. And they got 5 cents per rock is what I would pay them. And so if they were a little older, I'm like, I really need this done. I'm like, this is an 8-rock job, just getting them going. And there's a book, I think it's on the next slide, that also has some chore chart type routines that I just ordered. So I'm going to check that out too. Routine. I cannot talk about this enough. Whether you have kids or not, having a routine for yourself, whether you're working or not, having a routine for yourself. And I noticed, since I don't work full time anymore, that I have had to adjust into having a routine that I am fully in charge of. Yes, my kid's schedule forces me into that routine, but it's been an adjustment versus having a job that I had to be at certain times, right? It was a different set of discipline for me. It's okay to have a routine that's weird or not weird. The routine's not weird, but maybe your spouse's schedule is super weird. Maybe your husband doesn't get home until 11 p.m. This is where my opinion is going to maybe step on some toes, and it's an opinion. You got to take what is going to work for you, but I would definitely recommend still having your children on a more typical school-friendly routine, because we want them to be prepared to go if they're going to go to school, or if you're going to homeschool, however you want that to look. But homeschool activities are not usually at 9 o'clock at night. They're usually at 9 o'clock in the morning, or, after school type activities. We want to allow our schedule in the beginning of their lives to be something that's conducive as they get older and can flow with them. So if your husband doesn't get home until late, it's super crappy. It's unfortunate, but keeping your kids on a consistent schedule is going to serve them and your normal day-to-day much better. My husband was gone a ton when I started Plexus. I was working, he was working at our church, he was playing volleyball, and he was in school. So we had night classes too. And so I didn't let the kids just stay up until he got home at 11 o'clock at night. I definitely kept them going to bed at 7. And yes, they went to bed at 7 o'clock. So keeping the nap times, the bedtime, and the meal times very routine and very regimented will serve you very well. And then definitely on the weekends, I know it sounds crazy, but we always kept our kids on the same schedule 7 days a week, because it took the guesswork out, and we didn't have to fix them. We didn't have to get them used to going to bed at 7, because we let them stay up till 11 a couple of times, My 4th secret is stop cleaning while your kids are sleeping, while they're napping. If it is nap time, those are perfect times for you to have office hours and to have uninterrupted thinking time and get your work done. We could talk all day about how to do IPA. That is not the purpose of this call. So if you have questions like, how do I do IPA? What exactly do I do for that 45 minutes that my child naps, or hour and a half that my child naps? Then talk to your sponsor for sure. Do some household stuff while your kids are playing. It's not your job to constantly be their source of entertainment 24/7 or any waking hour. It's okay for them to play next to you and learn to play by themselves. It's okay for them to have quiet times in their bedrooms and play by themselves. Okay, so book recommendations, this Managers of Their Homes, that's the book that I just ordered that I'm not as familiar with, but I'm excited to check it out. So this is a scheduling kind of chore chart type book. And then Parenting with Love and Logic, Parenting with Scripture, Shepherding a Child's Heart, just things that you can read to work on having a peaceful home, discipline that's appropriate, not mass punishment, right? I really like the Parenting with Scripture, because it says in here, like, okay, criticism. What is, tell your kids, well, stop being so critical of one another. They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. So this is going to tell us what criticize means. And then some Bible, like 2 pages of Bible verses about about that and what God says. And so pointing our children back to what God says about a certain thing has also served us well. My older kids have been like, well, I was reading in my Bible and this is what I found out. And that is huge, that they can come up to those conclusions on their own and with us guiding them versus us just telling them everything to do all of the time. So these have been some good books that I've read over the years and have referred to. So you might want to check them out. And then this is where I was going to talk about sleep. So I no longer own any of these books. I passed them on to my friends. This Sleep Lady, Good Night Sleep Tight book has been passed around to my girls multiple times. It's gone to one girl who sent it to another, who sent it back, and they sent it back again. Like, it has been passed around. And what I love about all of these books is that none of them are like this super huge sleep textbook. There's something that can be read in chunks and read specifically to what sleep issue your child may be dealing with or baby may be dealing with, and not feel like you're, reading 600 pages to come up with a solution for sleep. You're able to read and apply very quickly. So the Sleep Lady book here, this goes from 0 to 5 and gives awesome examples, lots of really practical things on getting rid of sleep crutches, teaching a child to fall asleep on their own, stay asleep on their own. And it's broken down by age. Like, okay, they're 2 years old. This is how many hours of sleep you should expect your child to get at night. This is how much daytime sleep you should expect. Talks about how to get them to drop a nap, all kinds of stuff. And it's very easy to read because it's broken down by age. Sleeping Through the Night, I remember just loving this book, recommending it to so many people. The 90-minute sleep program, this book is like super tiny, but super helpful. And then The Happiest Baby on the Block is going to incorporate our sensory system and why is it that babies don't want to sleep, how to, like, the colicky stuff, the crying, the soothing techniques. This is going to teach that and helps to like mimic the womb, outside of the womb kind of attitude. This is stuff that we did when I worked pediatrics. For PT, we would do this stuff and get our kids to calm down because, the parents are like, oh, you'll never get my kid to calm down. They only calm down for the swing and the this and the this, whatever. I'm like, and you do these couple techniques and they're magically calm. So it uses a sensory system. So that's why I love that. And then Baby Wise is talking about a sleep schedule. So this is where I got the eat, awake, sleep, repeat schedule for my kids. And again, it served us very well. They all were really decent sleepers as infants and beyond. Come on. Okay. So I just wrote these out. I honestly made this entire screen show so that you guys could screenshot these books and stuff. That was what I was like, okay, they need to be able to see this and screenshot it instead of trying to remember and stuff like that. So this is just the opportunity for you to have a screenshot here. And then other tips. So you ready for this one? I hear a lot, how am I supposed to do IPA when my kids need me? Well, you're not supposed to do IPA when your kids need you. That is number one. Stop trying to do IPA all day long. Set some office hours, be intentional, and spend time with them. Fill their cups, be their mom, be your husband's wife first, and then get your IPA done. Now, I'm not saying don't get up early and do IPA or don't stay up late and do IPA. Absolutely do those things if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're not going to be sitting here on our phones all day long with our kids like acting crazy and climbing furniture and doing God knows what. We need to spend time with them and parent them, and we're setting time aside also for IPA. We can have multiple priorities in our life. Working 9 to 5. Stop giving your time to your employer. You do not get paid to work through your lunch hour. You don't get paid to come in super early and stay late. Most jobs don't. So stop giving your time to your employer, and they're not going to change their work expectations if us as a whole, if we keep doing the things that we, don't want to do. We keep working through our lunch. Well, they're not going to ever change our productivity standard or whatever that may be if you keep working through your lunch. And the other thing with that is think about if you were the manager, are you comfortable having somebody work through their lunch every single day? Is that something you feel comfortable asking? Making bedtime special or another special time of day. I had special bedtime routines with my kids. So we had a bedtime routine. I made the rounds. And it took maybe an hour to get them all tucked in properly. But I tell you what, it was a great special end of our day. And then team call and book clubs, well, they went to bed at 7. I could still get on calls. As they got older, things did shift. I might be on a call while I'm tucking them in, or my husband was tucking them in because he finally was home in the evenings, whatever that may be. But we can still have special times most nights of the week and still get on team calls. So team calls, book clubs, these are non-negotiables for your business. Maybe you want to do reading time with your children so that you can read your personal growth book and they can be sitting there reading and coloring and doing that. There are times where, yes, and my other call talks about this, like having them play Play-Doh, having them do paint by water so that you can still get your work done and be intentional. And they have something quiet that they can do. Using your car time, your laundry folding time, washing dishes time wisely. So those mundane tasks that we do, figure out how you can use that wisely. Listening to Audible, listening to training calls, doing coaching calls if you're able to do that while you're doing something else. And then just using your car time again for those similar things. And then picking what's most important to you. Like, I love making sure my family has a healthy dinner every night. That's very important to me. It's important to me that I'm exercise because I feel better, especially with my autoimmune stuff. I have to decide that. You have to decide what your other personal non-negotiables are and what's most important to you. And then also making sure that you are working on your personal growth. And then final tips. I mentioned this a little bit, but having multiple priorities in your life, this is possible. My children are super important. My husband is super important. My plexus is super important. When I worked full time, it was super important. And I was able to make them all a priority, right? My relationship with the Lord, super important. It's okay. Making time for your husband, very important. We don't want to complain to our husbands about our business or how frustrated we might be, or I don't know why no one's responding or whatever, because he wants to protect you from that. He doesn't want you to be upset and sad. And so he's going to, well, why are you doing this then? Stop doing it then. Don't stress yourself out over it. It's not worth the stress. So what we're like, no, it is. I'm going to go to the top. Like, if they don't have that buy-in with you yet, which they may not, depending on where you're at, and that's okay too. Ask me how I know. I didn't have buy-in until my husband was sitting on the beach in Hawaii with me and he had seen me on the stage. Legit, Emerald. Okay. And I was like, no. So don't complain to him. Show him all the good stuff. Show him the success. Show him your excitement. And expectation management with your family, letting them know, like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be on a call. You're going to be in bed. It's going to be okay. Manage that expectation before it gets here. Give them a heads up, especially if these are big changes for you or if these are things that you haven't done before. And the other thing that I want to remind you too with this is that when you are showing your husband that your business is important to you, it means when Saturday morning rolls around and you're like, hey, tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up early. I want to get some plexus work done. And then I can't wait to go to the park with you and the kids or whatever your plan is, right? And you get up early and you're getting your stuff done. And he decides, okay, hey, let's go out to breakfast. And you're like, all right, let's go. You've just shown him that your business is not important to you. You've just shown him that you are willing to say, okay, nope, that business is not important. These goals that I set are not important. I'm okay. Let's go to breakfast. I'm not saying never to go to breakfast with your husband. I'm saying show him, like, you know what? I really want to go to breakfast. Can we do that tomorrow after church? I really set this time aside to get some plexus work done. We talked about this last night. Like, how can we make this work for both of us? Can we go to brunch a little bit later today? Like, make it work. Show him that your business is important too. Now, obviously there's emergencies, there's special occasions. I mean, if this is your anniversary or something, like, make your plan to be your anniversary, not your plexus that, and get up even earlier, get up an hour earlier. It's okay. Giving yourself grace as you're working on changing some things around in your own routine, your own schedule, and your kids. And don't try to change everything at once. Like, my recommendation, if your kids don't sleep and you want to work on that, start there. Start with bedtime, then with nap time. Maybe those meal times could be more stringent too along the way, and then work on them playing by themselves a little bit more, or whatever that may be. So don't try to change everything at once. My other thing is that if you are not, this is just an example, if you didn't have this magazine worthy home before, and you're like, okay, I'm doing Plexus, I'm going to have this perfect house, I'm going to do this, and you're like trying to change and conquer and do things that you're not used to doing, like that's biting off way a lot. Okay. So make that short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. You know, you can do projects around your house. I'm not saying that you can't remodel or whatever, but I'm saying what is most important. Is it building your business so that you have even more time to remodel? Is it maybe taking longer to get a project done? Something like that. You know, don't expect yourself to do things that you've never ever done before and then all of a sudden come in and change it all at once. And then gratitude, prayer, journaling, obviously very important. We talk about this all the time. I've talked about this book before. You guys probably can't see it very well. It's going to be super tiny, but it's the 3-Minute Morning. I can stop the share too. It's the 3-Minute Morning Journal, and it's super cool. You put a date, you have my life is great because I will move closer to my goals today by, and it gives you 3 blanks. Today I will brighten blanks day. And today was great because, so then you have an evening one, and you can even stick your prayers in here. You can stick more gratitude in here, however you want to use it. But it's nice that we can shift our focus even for 3 minutes, or maybe this is something that Courtney talked a few calls ago, like setting an alarm on your phone to just think and have that gratitude. Maybe you start a notes app in your phone. And so you set your alarm on your phone for 3 times a day, and you just start adding stuff to your notes app, whatever works for you. So I found this on Amazon and it's awesome. So I do need to use it more, but it's a nice tool. So anyway, thank you so much for getting on. I knew I was going to talk too much. So thank you for your patience and hanging down there with me. You guys have a great night.